Okay, so what we're looking at here is a new desktop image, and it shouldn't require any reification to identify in this image that there is a U, although its shape, right, is rigidly and hard-edgedly, if we can turn that noun phrase into an adjective. Hard-edgedly designed, but you can clearly see without utilizing much imagination that there is a letter U and a letter C configured here in this, as I said, hard-edged or one could say strict geometric style, and then with some some imagination and reification on the part of the perceiving subject, you can perceive that that this design also represents a three-dimensional figure, and additionally to a three-dimensional figure, it represents a simple maze with a number of potential, ways either in or out, and the reason that we're looking at this is as a kind of image of a project proposal or an announcement. This would be like a trailer for a Hollywood film, but rather than being a trailer for a film, it's kind of a trailer for a playlist or a conceptual set. And it's difficult, to know when you have prepared, enough to introduce a new idea. Whether this idea is being, introduced in a classroom situation to a group of students, or for an audience, on the part of an artist, or as the proposal for reorganization of a social framework on the part of someone who has the power and ability to reorganize social frameworks. But in some ways, this proposal, or this new set of ideas and constructs that will belong to it were inspired by two space-time travel communication coordinate messages that I received following the latest series of work that I put up on the internet. And one of these space-time travel communication messages in response to this new work involved, the letter U and the letter C, and the pun, in those letters, they knew U, the pronoun, the second person singular or plural, pronoun, U, and C as in to visualize, to perceive, to watch, to take in with the eyes, to observe, and then the other space-time travel communication coordinate that I received that inspired me and it convinced me, of the readiness of my audience for this new set of material, was a message that related to a coordinate called the rhumble. And there are a lot of different ways to take the rhumble, but I wanted to combine it with this message, the UC, and it occurred to me that one of the potential connotations, even before we get to, or actually denotations, even before we get to connotations, one of the potential denotations of rumble in its British definition, or the one British definition of that word is to reveal or discover the true character of. And then in terms of the connotations of that revealing or discovering of truth, it occurred to me that we still have a lot to reveal and uncover, and some of those revealings and uncoverings, involve. Recently the Supreme Court made a decision that has a significant impact on the lives of a lot of individuals in the United States, everyone, I guess, and it involves taking away rights, and the individuals whose rights are going to be affected are women. I'm talking about the reversal of Roe v. Wade, and also the transgender population, the gay and lesbian communities, all now essentially all non-normative sexuality identification and positionalities that don't fall within these social reactionary, right? Socially reactionary authorized designations, right? Are subject to the loss of rights on almost every level, and those of us who don't see the truth of that broken dam require I think further instruction in revealing and discovering the true character of the nature of these kinds of decisions, and it occurred to me that revealing relates to all kinds of attempts, to hide the reality of our social situations and world behind whatever kind of fabrication that one wants to build to protect oneself. So the outrage, on the part of these Supreme Court justices was that the secret of their decision was revealed, and they felt threatened by this. Never mind the fact that this decision threatens so many lives and so many existences. They felt perfectly comfortable threatening the lives of others, but the revealing of, say, where Brett Kavanaugh's home might be, or when and where Judge Clarence Thomas is taking his dinner. They felt that they needed to be protected somehow from the rightly, indignant response to their assaults on our, rights to exist and live our own lives. And so, that was one part of what I thought that this new set of representation could try to focus on revealing. And then there are, of course, the January Sixers who continue to refuse to recognize the fact that Trump lost the election, and we all understand, right, that if Trump does run again, he'll never accept defeat, right? That we'll just have a repeat performance. And very likely, if he were to win, which the new laws, right, denying so many of us the opportunity to vote in so many states, virtually secure, by virtue of gerrymandering and making it very difficult for individuals of color and other individuals in remote locations to actually participate in the democratic process of voting. That if he were to win, that he may decide that he never wants to leave. He's a fascist by heart, spirit, and nature, and he's played out the possibility of dictatorship before, and then when there was a backlash on that, he backed off and said that was just a joke, and that's typically the way that Trump works. So throw something out there that he wants to get kind of public opinion feedback on whether we're at that level of fascist influence, right? To accept or not, and then if we're not there yet, then he'll say that it was just a joke, and we'll put it out there later, when we've got a little bit more identification with the fascist ideology that he promotes and disclaims. So that's another set of revealings, and then of course my personal set of revealings that have been made slowly and carefully, and hopefully have paid attention to those series of teachable moments, and so obviously the reason that this U and this C form this three-dimensional figure is because I want to relate this new project to this playlist or set of projects called Errorful and or Positively Disintegrated and or Discontinuous Three-Dimensional Learning Curves. And so you see, or you seeing, or seeing you and see as you seeing is taking on this model of three-dimensional learning, and this playlist or this set of revealings and learnings and discoverings of true characters. And you know, the U and the C is, of course, you know, they're characters, right? Letters as characters. So the truth in these characters. And I thought, because I've been working with, you know, what SAT tests and what GRE tests actually do socially and politically, as opposed to what they pretend to do, and how they were developed. And I work a lot with, you know, examinations and with measurement theory and the school to prison pipeline, you know, that these kinds of tests support. You know, I thought that I would model this set of revealings and discoveries as an examination, and the U and the C really inspired me to choose a title for this new set of workings, which I want to call Brutal Reality Examinations, or Brutal Reality Examination, perhaps. So it'll be the BRE as opposed to the GRE, and I guess as a disclaimer, you know, I should put a disclaimer, because I know that you know, images of the moon and of moonlight are enough to frighten, you know, and you know, inspire, you know, hatred and anger in many fascists. I should you know, note here that, you know, if you're, you know, sensitive, or, you know, perhaps, you know, have a heart condition, or an anxiety disorder, and are, you know, sensitive to the revelation, right? Or if we wanted to use, you know, the Greek word, the apocalyptos of brutal truth, or brutal reality in this case, since it's the brutal reality examination. So if you have an aversion to you know, seeing the brutal truth, and obviously, you know, many individuals today do, and I'm thinking about Ted Cruz, who, you know, refuses to recognize that, in fact, that the outrageous number of childhood deaths resulting from gun violence in the United States is, in fact, a result of the lack of restrictions that we have. No other country at the level of our economic and technical development, you know, which pretends to be a democracy, has even a significantly close rate of children's death, because they do have, you know, restrictions and regulations, and you know, of course, you know, we're citing, you know, Ted Cruz, you know, here, not only because of his refusal to recognize the brutal reality of this fact, but because he receives so much money from the gun lobby to bury his head in the sand. And so these brutal reality examinations, you know, will formulate, you know, these revealings in similar terms that are taken up by you know, the SAT test and the GRE test. But, you know, rather than focusing on in this kind of so rather than focusing on these kind of orchestrated and I've always thought of the GRE and the SAT as these kind of cultural literacy models like E.D. Hirsch developed, and in the same way that E.D. Hirsch's cultural literacy masks and hides its head in the sand regarding all the ideological and cultural implications of the way that cultural literacy is defined, right? It pretends that that there's this kind of universalism in it, and that as a nation that we need to have this sort of standard of common knowledge, right? And never mind that this standard is right out of the white male canon and hierarchy with all of its implications of colonialism and effectively like all of the power implications that are played out in the patriarchy of the Supreme Court, right, or being played out in the patriarchy of the Supreme Court right now, and sort of monuments to like this anxiety of insecurity, on the part of this threatened male subjectivity, and in the same way, that the rise in racism in the United States today, and the rise of fascism in the United States today is playing out this anxiety of the loss, right, of this privileged hierarchical position, and which is largely a delusion, that's fostered by individuals in the government and in industries of economic wealth that make money from such anxieties and such fears and such hatreds, like Rupert Murdoch and like the Koch brothers and like Mitch McConnell and like Ted Cruz, right, who makes tons of money from all of these neo-fascist civil militia, wannabes who also contribute to the gun violence in the United States by supporting an industry that really doesn't care who lives or dies. So I this set, and this is just a this is just a proposal, and I guess preparation for this set, will look like, or will adapt, models, used in these kinds of standardized evaluations, like the SAT and the GRE, and but the content will be very different. It won't be this cultural literacy idea, this Hirschian idea, but rather, we'll focus on the kinds of things that we've been focusing on, and but perhaps, the stakes will be raised in a certain sense, and perhaps the brutality of the brutal and the reality of the reality will be heightened at this level of examination, and therefore, my warning and disclaimer, if you have a heart condition, or something that makes it difficult for you to see and comprehend the truth and the reality of systemic racism in the United States and its history, and the brutality of the police, and the rise of fascism, and the fact, right, of the way that individuals with various kinds of marginalized, who occupy various kinds of marginalized positionalities are actually treated in the real world, and that world may include your world. If you're an academic, you may not want to hear certain things about the reality of exclusion, and how it works, and where it comes from, and if you're an artist, you may not want to hear the truth about what some artists are really seem to be motivated by, and the fact that where and how you show your work may be more significant to the meaning of that work than what you're actually making. and those are some of the brutal realities that we may encounter in this series. So with that, I think I've said enough to introduce this new set of work as a proposal.